Hello and welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja Divedi, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about the malware Pegasus. This topic is important from the perspective of prelims and also from the perspective of GS mains papers. So let's begin with the topics of discussion that we are going to look at. First of all, we will talk about the news. Then we will discuss about what is a spyware or what is a malware. We will also talk about Pegasus and the right to privacy which it breaches actually. We will also talk about the challenges, the way forward, and in the last of the segment, I'm going to ask you a mains-based question for answer writing practice. So let's begin with why is it in the news. So approximately 300 Indian mobile numbers are being snooped on by the malware Pegasus. The opposition has called on the government with the intent of coming to check on it. And it has also said that it is high time that a proper committee, a third-party committee should be formulated in order to actually look into this matter. So this breach of privacy or the breach of constitution is something that we are going to discuss over here. So if we talk about malware, what is a malware? Malware is actually the short form of malicious software, okay? Malicious software. So now here it becomes malware. And a malware is an umbrella term to include many viruses, computer worms such as spyware, Trojan horses, adware, scareware. There are many types of it. So if we talk about the intents or the significance of malware, in the initial days, it was formulated just as a prank by computer software developers. But as the time has gone by, after that it was started to be used by malicious intents, because malware is actually a malicious software with a malicious intent. So many black hat hackers, many organized crime syndicates, and even state-sponsored espionage agents are actually helping this industry to develop, and now we have Pegasus. Now if we talk about the types of it, kindly pay attention over here, which tells you the different types of malware. First is viruses. Now these actually attach themselves to the email, and once somebody clicks on it, the virus gets downloaded in the software or in the computer or PC, laptop, whatever, of a person, and after that it causes problems. Then we have ransomware. Ransomware will encrypt your file, keep it as a hostage, and then ask you for money, and after that only it will release it. Okay, release the file. And then we have scareware. Now scareware is something that would be taken to page to purchase or take a program. Then we have spyware. Now spyware can monitor all forms of information. Sometimes it can also switch on the microphone or the camera in order to gain access to the doings or the actions of the person. And also it can intrude into your system and get a hold of your information such as contact list, your emails, even your live calls. So that is spyware. We have Trojan. This application is actually stealing the personal data and then spying or even crashing your computer. Then we also have adware. Now in adware, it will pepper the user with unwanted ads to attempt to get to them, to pay them a part of their money. If we talk about malware, the term malware was for the first time ever, it was used by computer scientist and security research Israel Radai in 1990. Before the term malware, malicious software was referred to as a computer virus. One of the first known examples of malware was the Creeper virus in 1971, which was created as an experiment by BBN technology engineer Robert Thomas. And if we talk about the symptoms of a malware in your computer, there are many, such as flashing of the blue screen of death, that means frozen computer, a slow crashing and freezing computer, increased pop-ups, toolbars, they come up automatically. We also have programs opening and closing and automatically altering themselves without your command. Also lack of storage space, emails and messages being sent without you prompting them to be so. So if we talk about Pegasus, Pegasus was for the first time ever discovered or come to the fore in the year 2016. And then it was a very different type. Now it is a very different type. It has, of course, as we see the coronavirus upgrading itself, computer viruses also upgrade themselves. So here you can see spyware Pegasus used to snoop on ministers, opposition, journalists, businessmen, according to this report. Now, why is it so? Because it wants to gain access to the privacy of certain people, certain very important people, and get a hold of their information so that this information could be used against them in the future. Generally, spywares, what do? They get a hold of your information which are very critical to you to monetize them, such as your bank account, credentials, such as your credit card, such as your ATM pin. Also, in order to sabotage your lives, also spyware can be used. And moving on, if we talk about Pegasus, it is the flagship spyware of an Israel-based NSO group. It has described itself as the world leader in precision cyber intelligence solution for the only use of vetted and approved state-administered intelligence and law enforcement agencies. That means it gets a hold on the personal data with the help of Pegasus spyware and then sells it to the different governmental or non-governmental agencies. Now, it is reported that the company has 60 government customers in 40 countries and offices, and it has its offices also in Bulgaria and Cyprus, while it is majorly owned by Novel Pina Capital, which is a London-based firm, private equity firm. So you can see that this industry, how much it has proliferated, as the data, big data is the next future. We need to safeguard our own personal information, and that is why it is very important for us as Indians, because we have such a huge population, and most of the population, majority of the population is becoming very digitally oriented, right? And let's move on and talk about Pegasus in 2021. As I have already told you, from the year 2016 to 2021, it has upgraded itself, and it is far more evolved avatar of 2016 version. So, and it can now execute what is known as zero-click attack, which means that it can infiltrate into a phone practically without no action from the target, because there are zero-day vulnerabilities. So, zero-click means that suppose you get a WhatsApp call from an unknown number. Even if you don't pick up the number, then also this spyware will get downloaded into your system, into your phone. So that is how dangerous it is. Zero-day vulnerabilities are those vulnerabilities that are existing in a software by default, because the maker who made the software is not even aware that there is a loophole in the system. So by capitalizing on that loophole, a zero-click spyware is here with us by the name of Pegasus. And phones such as iPhones, even they are also very vulnerable to zero-click. They are also a zero-click target, because installs, what happens? How does it work? It installs Pegasus malware illicitly into the target's phone. Then Pegasus clones login credentials from the phone after being the WhatsApp call, after commencing the WhatsApp call. It clones the credentials and sends it to a server. Then the server retrieves the data, takes out the data from the target's cloud, including years of information such as what messages were sent, what the talks were between 2 or 3 people. And then what does it do? Personal data is relayed back to surveillance operators. That is how easy for this spyware is to get a hold of your information, take all your information and then monetize or capitalize its gain on it. Moving on, if we talk about the right to privacy, because of course it breaches the right to privacy, which is a very critical structure, which is a very critical ingredient of the structure of the Constitution. So we'll know more about it. The Supreme Court described privacy and its importance in the landmark decision of K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India in 2017, saying that right to privacy is a fundamental and an inalienable right, and that attaches to the person, covering all information about the person and choices that he or she makes. So it comes under right to life. That is the Article 21, right to life and liberty. So importance for prelims is that you remember this thing closely. K.S. Puttaswamy versus Union of India in 2017 is the right to privacy judgment. And it of course reiterated the importance of privacy and how it is an integral part of a right to life and liberty of a person. Moving on, the right to privacy is protected and it will always be protected under the right to life and liberty, as I already told you, and as a part of the freedoms guaranteed of Part 3 of the Constitution, the fundamental rights. Moving on, there are certain initiatives taken by the Indian government in order to make sure that the right to privacy is safeguarded. So first is Draft Personal Data Protection Bill. This talks about the processing of the individual data. Whatever data is being generated by an individual, it should be processed only after the consent of the individual. This was in this bill. And also whatever data is being sent over the seas should be, of course, they should be based on certain safeguards. So as we have always already covered, the MasterCard in this initiative of the government to block MasterCard from taking any new customers on board through the help of credit card, debit card from the 22nd of July, because the RBI wanted it to process its data within the geographical premises of the Indian government. So that is how important data is now. Then B.N. Sri Krishna Committee also suggested in the year 2018 certain privacy issues that needed to be addressed. We also have Information Technology Act, which has certain safeguards with respect to the usage of a computer system and safeguarding the details and the private information inside that computers, and also has certain penalties. So these are the three basic steps. There are many. And if we talk about the challenges are many, because we are living in a digital era. We are also living in an era where we know that digital literacy, digital education and digital future is the next thing that we are looking at, because it has been propelled and furthered by the COVID-19 pandemic. So certain challenges are there. We need to look at them multiple ways and various technologies like social engineering, exploiting user apps, and then using the vulnerabilities to makes this issue hard to solve. And that is why, if you remember, when the government of India banned approximately 60 Chinese apps, this was in order to ensure that the privacy of the individuals, especially with respect to national integrity, sovereignty and security, is safeguarded. So whenever we download an app, it is actually, we should be very careful about its authenticity, because if we download something which is unauthentic in nature, it can get hold of our personal information and then gain on it. Also, the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store have thousands of apps with undiscovered vulnerabilities that could potentially be exploited by firms such as NSO to target individual users, because users are innocent. They are just maybe downloading an app for for a game or any other app for getting information or news about certain beings. So what happens? The users being innocent, the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store being the platform, they need to understand the importance of safeguarding those loopholes and taking or plugging those loopholes so that companies such as NSO don't benefit on the expense of the customers. Also, by mainly targeting WhatsApp only, the focus is shifted from other potential means through which it can be used further and leave a far bigger impact. Because everybody nowadays uses WhatsApp. Of course, every information that we get about our offices, our coachings, our schools, our wherever it is necessary, actually, WhatsApp makes a way. So you can see, the problem is that because WhatsApp is so largely used, that is why the spyware knows which platform to use so that it can affect or impact the bigger population. Also, moving on, if we talk about the next challenges, there is also a lack of awareness and specialists in digital security. This makes it a vulnerable sector, vulnerable, very vulnerable. Terrorists and other antisocial elements have started using more of cyberspace, which provides them with more getaways, more opportunities. If we talk about the way forward, there could be certain sectors where we should of course have our minds on. Users should update their phone every now and then whenever there is an opportunity or a chance or a message that pops up in your phone that please update the software, because it is very important for updating our software so that the viruses or the malware are not able of understanding, they are not capable of understanding the changes they have actually programmed themselves with the help of, or to get into through your phone with the help of the previous software. So if you upgrade your software, the virus will also have to upgrade itself, and that is what we need to do. Self-awareness about digital security is the must, because that can be only for a certain section of people. Most of the people who have mobile phones are not even worried or even aware about such threats. From the government's point of view, we need the government to investigate the matter, because if the government is so vigilant when it comes to processing the data into the premises of the geographical boundaries of India, and all the information about the individuals should get processed because of their consent. If all this is getting into the matters of the public opinion, of course, government should enter into this stricter rules and restrictions for the application to be more aware of the authenticity of the application. Then laws should be passed. Data protection bill is still a bill, it's not a law. So that needs to become an act so that there can be more robust legal enforcement. Moving on, if we talk about another very important matter, that is digital literacy, digital education, because big data is the next future. This section should of course be taken into account since the very beginning, because our children are going to be the next future. They are going to be a generation which is actually premised on so many digital empowerment. So that is very necessary that children from the very beginning are aware of it. Also, computing environment and Internet of Things has actually opened the vulnerabilities for most of the population. If one system gets infiltrated with the help of the virus, it is of utmost significance that it will pass itself on through the other Internet of Things, because all the things will be connected by a digital system, a digital seamless chain. So that is also a thing. And also artificial intelligence could be tapped in order to formulate certain mitigation plan for such infiltrations. If we move on to our main space question, pay attention. In the light of the recent issue regarding spyware Pegasus, examine the privacy and security concerns for India, also suggest a suitable way forward. So I hope you'll answer it. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.